What's up, everybody? Hey, guys. Welcome to another edition of my DAMN Q&A. Nice to have you guys here. So yeah, how you guys doing? I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. As usual, I'm just gonna sit here and relax as I silently wait for people to join the chat. 30 seconds live, no one's here. I'm just kidding, people will join eventually. The lightning today looks a little bit weird. That's why I decided to be here. Usually I am in front of the window. The window is in front of my shelves with my collection here. That's how you usually see me, but today looks kind of misty with a lot of sun, and there's a lot of light, and I would look like crap, so I decided to move here for today. Ooh. So how are you guys? So what thumbnail are you seeing right now? Me holding the book, right? I was gonna put some thumbnail about the Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts spiritual successors. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and do that. See if I have some things that people join them in the meantime. Completely forgot about that. I planned it. I said I was gonna put the Armed Fantasia and Penny Blood. What is Armed Fantasia and Penny Blood? Oh, I just found a thumbnail. Wait, this one looks better. But this one might be too rectangular. Let's do it anyway. All right, Armed Fantasia and Penny Blood. Be with you guys in a minute. Changing the thumbnail. I mean, the Q&A is not going to be dedicated to that, all right? Because there's not, well, it's like any widescreen, whatever. There you go, I changed it. So people now will join and ask, what the hell is that? All right, so now you can see the Armed Fantasia and whatever. All right, so great news. You probably already know, well, some of you already know, some of you don't know that Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts are being not revived. They are going the Suikoden route, path, whatever. Suikoden route. Just like the original developers of Suikoden, some of them decided to leave Konami because Konami is such a horrible company nowadays. They decided to go away, and many years later, will gather again together to create a Eiyuden Chronicle. You know what happened, right? The old story. It was 2 years ago. The game's being released next year. So I'll tell you what I know about these upcoming two projects, this new Kickstarter. So last week, or was it this week? I think it was this week. Earlier this week, the PR person in Japan. That's right. Great English, this person. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe this person lives in North America, I have no idea. But this person reached out to me and said, hey, I'm reaching out to some to some YouTubers, to let them know that some of the ex-employees of MediaVision and Psychonauts, which are the creators of, the developers of Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts. That's a loud freaking plane. Those guys are gonna launch a double Kickstarter. I guess that's the term, a double Kickstarter, to develop spiritual successors to Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts. So the spiritual successor to Wild Arms is going to be called Armed Fantasia. And he sent me some press kits with a lot of images and screenshots. Some screenshots of the gameplay footage, of the graphics of the characters themselves, some artwork. The same with Penny Blood. It looks like they're going to be turn-based RPGs. Thank you very much. If you change them to action, I won't support this Kickstarter at all. I love action RPGs, but I don't like it when turn-based goes action, especially nowadays. So yeah, we're getting these two projects, and I asked him, oh, well, what's this all about? Oh, well, they're Kickstarters. Ex-employees of MediaVision are working on Armed Fantasia, spiritual successor to Wild Arms, and ex-employees of Saknoth, later known as Nautilus, are working on a spiritual successor to Shadow Hearts. It's gonna be called Penny Blood. That's a great name, actually. I like that name, Penny Blood. That's a fitting name for a Shadow Hearts spiritual successor. Anyway, so yeah, they look great. The screenshots, everything looks amazing. I'm pretty excited about this. So I asked him, how long is this gonna take? When are the games being released, or do you have an approximate or estimated release date for this? And he said it's gonna take like 2.5 years. First, there's gonna be the Kickstarter for the remainder of their year, I think, and then probably next year they will start working if they make enough money. I think their goal is not even $1 million. It's something around the 700,000. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure yet. He gave me all the information, but I didn't have enough time to check it out. I'm pretty sure you guys did. And this link is everywhere. The Kickstarter is everywhere, so you can join starting next Tuesday. I think the Kickstarter starts next Tuesday, so check it out. And 2.5 years, so this is 2022. We'll probably see those games in 2025. Yeah, just like Eiyuden Chronicle, announced in 2020, released in 2023. 3 years. So it's probably going to take them that much to develop great looking games. So yeah, that's great news. Awesome news, everybody. That's it. That's all I know. Oh, there's a trailer already? There's a trailer already? Okay, so $750,000. Yeah, I was pretty close. I knew it was somewhere around that. They need $750,000. So there's a trailer? I haven't seen the trailer, but this video, this clip right now, this part, I'm probably gonna turn into a clip and upload it next week on my second channel. So I'll see if I can, include a trailer in there. I haven't seen the trailer, man. That's awesome. I'll watch the trailer in a bit. Thank you, Yum Yum Razon. You have a lot of physical games. Not really. I have over 300 and something games. 300 maybe a lot. It's relatively a lot, but compared to a lot of people that I know who have thousands, it's nothing. But thank you. When do you consider a game that it's time to part ways? That's an interesting question because I don't like parting ways with games that I like. I did it before out of necessity because I needed the money. But ever since I got back from Canada, I haven't sold a single thing. And I still have a bunch of games that are like doubles. I have Star Ocean The Last Hope twice on the PS3, for example. 2 copies of Art on Eldico on the PS3 as well. I have a bunch of games that are like, they're not supposed to be there. I haven't even sold them. I got too lazy to, sell them, Mainly because of the pandemic, I didn't want to go around the bus or the train, to meet up with the buyers or whatever. And I don't know. I don't know when it's time to part ways with a game in your collection. I think the only time to part ways with it is when you have a necessity, when you need the money, or when you don't like that game anymore. Why else would you part ways with it? God damn it, man! I'm gonna go watch the trailer right now. I can't wait. I didn't know there was a trailer. So there's a trailer for both. Armed Fantasia to the End of the Wilderness. Oh, he has a subtitle. Alright, so let me watch the trailer for Armed Fantasia. Whoa! Okay, yeah, some of the original developers, Kaneko, Akifumi Kaneko, yeah. Alright, amazing graphics, yeah. Looks badass. Ingram Goodweather, Euclid Sturgis, and Alicia Fairhead. Alright. Yeah, it looks pretty interesting. All right. So there's only 3 main characters, like in the first Wild Arms. I don't know if we're gonna have more party members. Wow, the graphics look amazing, man. So it's gonna be turn-based, regular turn-based with some, force gauge in there. Order chain. Oh, there's combo attacks. All right. Yeah, if I make a clip for my second channel, I'm definitely using this trailer, and the one for Penny Blood. Yeah, you'll see the video in next week in a few days. Because today I'm gonna make a review of another game. Okay, so yeah, it looks beautiful. Man, I mean, it doesn't look like AAA, but it looks like a really, really solid AA trailer. Is there one for Penny Blood? I mean, Penny Blood. Let's see, a trailer for Penny Blood. Is there a trailer for Penny Blood? I don't think there is. They haven't uploaded the trailer for Penny Blood. I'll look it up later. Everyone's talking about it. All YouTubers are talking about this. That's awesome. All right, so yeah, looks really cool. The trailer, awesome. All right, so I have 60 people watching. I guess it's time to start my review. For the very first time, I'm gonna review a game in this Q&A. I'm pretty sure I didn't agree with the PR. I didn't talk about this with the PR guy. It's a surprise, but I can't really exactly do this on my main channel, the regular way, like I did with Soul Hackers or Xenoblade Chronicles or whatever. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a lot of questions about Soul Hackers and shit. Poor Soul Hackers. Now that I think about it, sure, everybody was talking about it 10 days ago, when they started uploading their reviews. And it seemed like it got a mixed reception. There were a lot of... I didn't watch a single review or read anything. But from the title of people's videos, I noticed that some of them were saying the game was mediocre, or that it was kind of hollow or something like that, compared to the original and other Shin Megami Tensei games. I mean, certainly it's a little bit different, because it feels more like a traditional style turn-based RPG. There's nothing convoluted about it. There's no... One thing I forgot to mention in the review, and I deeply regret it. Well, I did mention that to me it felt like a little bit of a fresh air, like a breath of fresh air, and I like that because it feels like a 1999 JRPG, and I love that. I come from that era, from the 90s, and I grew up with 90s and 2000s, early 2000s RPGs. So I like that Soul Hackers 2 went that way, went back to that original formula. But one thing I didn't mention is that the game is not an open world game. You know how almost every single JRPG needs to be massive. Needs to take place in this massive world where you explore everywhere in every single goddamn corner. Well, so Shin Megami Tensei 5 was like that. Okay, so Soul Hackers 2 was not like that, and I like that. I like the fact that it wasn't open world, that it was just very linear. And following the original formula seen in the first game. Not in first person, but you still kind of like traversing long-ass dungeons, They're kind of tedious, but it's okay. But anyway, that's all I want to say about Soul Hackers 2. My point is that the game gets released 2 days ago, and then this massive news drops. Right? This ARM Fantasia and Penny Blood, I don't know if the people who released this project, who made it public, who announced this, knew that Soul Hackers 2 was going to be released the very same day. I don't know if they were planning to compete in that, but I'm pretty sure it certainly grabbed a lot of people's attention and drew people's attention away from Soul Hackers 2. That's pretty bad, because as soon as I uploaded the video, it did pretty well. I'm surprised because I don't have a lot of Shin Megami Tensei fans in my channel, so I'm happy the review did fairly well in terms of views. But I did notice that the same day they dropped this new announcement for Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts, And now everyone's talking about that, and the entire planet has forgotten about Soul Hackers 2. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, guys, today I want to talk about 2 particular games. Let me just turn the music a little bit down so it doesn't double up. If it starts acting up the music, let me know. So there we go. I hate this hair, man. Anyway, so today I want to talk about two particular games that are. The first one was an indie beat 'em up with RPG elements that I have covered in this channel and in my second channel as well. And the second one is a full-fledged action RPG. It doesn't feel indie anymore. It feels more double A. You know, it's being published by Idea Factory International. But the first one was published in the West by P-Cube Games. So I'm talking about Dusk Diver. I don't know if you guys have heard of this game. You know, I've talked about it a couple of times. This is a special edition. It was a gift from a fan named Ram. It's a good, cool special edition with art book and all that jazz by P-Cube Entertainment, P-Cube Games. So the sequel, Dusk Diver 2, you know, it's going to be released next Tuesday, in 2 days from now. But I guess if you're watching this clip video on my second channel in the future, the game has already been released. All right, reviews are up there. So this is going to be on PS4. I mean, this is on PS4 and Switch and PC, Steam, and so is the sequel. You know, PC, Steam, PS4, and Switch, physical as well. Published this time by Idea Factory. So the sequel is not exactly an indie game anymore, but it's an RPG. That's one of the first things that I immediately noticed, because I played this game a long time ago. I think I streamed it for a couple of hours, and that was it. And then I realized that you do need to play this game first to understand the sequel. The sequel is an extremely direct sequel. Same people, same protagonist, same characters, same setting. It takes place in a Chinese town called Xiamandong, something like that. And Xiamandong, I've been playing the games, you know. I finished this one like a couple of days ago, and a couple of days ago I immediately started the same day the sequel. I got a review code from my buddy Bruce, you know, who now works for Idea Factory. You know, thanks Bruce for that. And the first thing that I noticed is that while this is a beat 'em up with RPG elements, you know, the sequel is a full-fledged action RPG. You know, because in this game, let's start with this one. This is a game that I beat in like, I don't know. You want to know why I don't know? Because both games don't have a timer. You know, you can't see your play time. Not even if you go to your system storage, you know, on the PlayStation 4, you can't see it. Maybe you can on the Switch, but on the PlayStation 4, you can't see your playtime. I hate that, guys. So that's my first criticism towards the developers of these games. What the hell? I want to see my damn playtime. So I estimate that I finished the game in like 8 hours or 10 hours maybe. Barely did any side quests, because there are side quests in there. But this is a beat 'em up, a 3D beat 'em up, not a 2D beat 'em up. A 3D beat 'em up with great combat, you know. It's an indie game. It doesn't have the absolute best controls, the best combat, the best graphics, the best story. Come on, guys, it's an indie game. Give him a break. So, well, this game is about... The story of both games is about this girl called Yumo, who all of a sudden gets these mysterious powers, you know, that allows her to fight chaos beasts who live in some kind of parallel dimension. You know, the games never mentioned that term. I'm making that up. But, you know, they go and fight these chaos beasts who also reside in the same town, in this Chinese town. And yes, this is a Chinese game. It's not a Japanese game. It does come with Japanese dub and Chinese dub and English subtitles. But this is a Chinese game, I think, or a Taiwanese game. I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure it's from there. It's not Japanese. But anyway, so she fights these chaos beasts, you know, and in the first game it's all about, you know, protecting the town, you know, and trying to find out why she got those powers. And these other powers allow her to kind of summon these guys, her party members, you know, as some kind of attack, to perform a special attack, for so to say. You can't control these characters, you know, you can just summon them with one button. They appear, they perform an attack, and that's it. Sometimes these attacks can break the enemy's guard, so you can leave them more vulnerable and so on. So there's not a lot of gameplay mechanics in this game. It's a basic beat 'em up, you know, and you have a town. You have a town where you can explore around. There's barely anything. There's just a few shops where you can buy meals to boost your experience points or your defense or your attack, to get some buffs, right? And there's some side quests about, you know, kill these beasts in this part and this or this or that. Most of the game, if not the entirety of the game, takes place in the city, you know, in this town, you know, in these, and the missions are the same in this city, so it's kind of repetitive. It's an easy game, you know. I had only trouble with only one boss fight, which was kind of spiky. But overall, it's not a really easy game, but it's kind of easy. It's kind of okay. If you know what to do. If you like beat 'em ups like I do, and I've been playing beat 'em ups my whole life. Of course, I got some experience, so I know what to do and how to dodge and whatever. So it's not a really challenging game, but it's not easy. It's not that easy, It's okay. It's balanced. So yeah, great game, short game, beat 'em up with RPG elements. You do not level up here, but you do strengthen your skills. And that's it. It's pretty bare bones. The RPG elements are pretty bare bones, but that's okay. This game, I don't think it was ever advertised to be a true role-playing game. It's just a beat 'em up with RPG elements. Great game, recommend it. No masterpiece, but it's great nonetheless. So immediately I jumped to the sequel called Dusk Diver 2. It has a subtitle in Japanese or in Chinese. But anyway, and all of a sudden, I'm not going to spoil anything. Let me remind you that you do need to play this one to understand the second one. It's a direct sequel, and they do mention a lot, and they spoil things a lot. There's one particular character that, in the second game is right there, and you're like, wow, that's a huge spoiler character. So yeah, do yourself a favor and play this game first. If you can't play this game, or if you can't buy it, there's like a story summary of the events of this game that you can watch on the second game, But this is a full-fledged action RPG, and there's just a lot to say about it. I don't think I'm gonna have enough time, but the story continues, and now without spoiling anything, the least I can say is that Yumo, the main character, is now. How to say this without spoiling? She in the first game she started working for the Yunluns, which are these creatures who can transform, like her party members. And there's a boss in there, and the boss kind of works for this organization that fights Chaos Beasts. So now she's pretty much like an official member of that organization. Let's just leave it at that. So Yuma can also transform into this, badass, super powered character for a few seconds or minutes. The better you fight, the more time you have, to be transformed and fight your enemies. So we see her training at the beginning of the second game, and it's the same. We're trying to find, the origins of these Chaos Beasts. There's a new organization that's trying to take over the town, and it seems to be connected to these Chaos Beasts and whatnot and whatever. But yeah, the town is much bigger. There's a lot of interaction. There's a meaningful side quest that you get a lot of story from the characters. And you do level up in this game. The leveling up in this game is not like you grind for experience points and you level up. No, you get a bunch of experience points after every fight, and every fight consists of a bunch of enemies. It's still a beat 'em up system, but at the end you get these you get experience points, but they are shared amongst the party, and you have to use them. You let's say you get 2,000 points, and to increase a certain stat of every character, like Yumo's strength or stamina or HP or whatever, you need to use a few points for that particular stat. But if you use 500 points, then you only have 500 points left for the other party members, Because in this game, and you've noticed I mentioned party members, unlike in the first game where your allies were just summons, like personas, like in Persona 5 Strikers actually, where you summon the demons and the personas. No, in this, you have full-fledged party members. Your allies, previously seen in the previous game, they are playable characters. You can switch to them at any time, and they control differently, and they have different skills, different weapons, different attacks. And if you're controlling one character, your party acts, controlled by the computer. They fight alongside you, which is awesome. It's not the best AI. Sometimes they stand around like this and do nothing, while you're fighting enemies and you're getting your ass kicked, The rest of your party members are like not moving. Sometimes it doesn't happen that often, but sometimes, they take a while. But fortunately, they're pretty good at evading attacks and dodging stuff, So while you're getting your ass kicked, if you run out of, healing items, or you die, you can switch to another party member, to another one of these guys, and play as them. And you can also use revive crystals to bring them back. So yeah, the music in these games, especially in the first one, is amazing. It's a soundtrack with only a few songs, but they're all amazing. I think, I think the music in this game is too good for the game, but the game is also great. The combat changed a little bit. I don't know. I think because this game was slightly successful, they got more money to increase the quality of the combat and the controls and the graphics everything looks much better, And like I said, now you can go to different towns. There's no overworld, but there are like random encounters in the town. I mean, you can see the enemies in there. There are people who are called the Possessed. And if you run into them, you start a battle, a random encounter, something like that. You can dodge these enemies if you want to fight them. So the last thing I want to talk about is that, well, the story is okay in both games. It's not like, wow, you're not gonna play these games for the story. And there's a lot of fan service in here. Holy shit, there's some fan service in here focused on one of the main characters. And Leviada, that's her name. She's a model and an actress, and she's over the top sexualized. And in this second game, oh well, they went nuts with that, with fan service, man. So yeah, if you like fan service, this is your game. But yeah, the character models look much better than in the first game. But the last thing I want to say is that the combat in these games, like I said, it's a beat 'em up, but it's a little bit different than the second game. It feels a little bit more technical, but you can still beat the crap out of your enemies and abuse your skills. Now you have skills. In the first game, your skills were pretty much your party members, and that's it. In the second game, each character has their own skills, their own independent set of skills that you can use sometimes to attack enemies or to break their guards or to make them, crash against the wall, or so you can just do a finishing blow or a specific blow that causes more damage, My one and only complaint is that, as always, it's a modern game. That means enemies take fucking forever to kill, even regular enemies. And that wasn't the case in the first game. And that bugged me a little bit, because, it's a beat 'em up. So you want to get over the regular enemies quickly. And in the second game, each enemy takes freaking forever to kill, and you can't just choose the difficulty in this game. Not even in this one, not in the second one. There's no easy mode, no hard mode. No, you're just stuck with the regular, normal difficulty mode the developer set up. So the game is not hard. The regular enemies, they just take forever to kill, but most of them don't even put up a fight. They're easy as hell, they're just like they're sitting there like, hit me. And you hit them 1,000 times and they still don't die. It's like they're laughing at you. And the bosses, well, some of them are pretty balanced, while others are a massive difficulty spike. I found, I haven't finished the second game. I finished the first one, and there's only one boss battle in there that's kind of spiky, but not that much. And in this second game, one of the first major boss battles, is insane. So I think these guys, the developers, have some balancing issues. That's my main criticism with the game. It's not a game breaker. I hope I don't encounter these huge nasty spikes again, because almost my entire party was wiped out, and I was only left standing with one character, and it was thanks to a tutorial that I won the fight. A tutorial allowing me to do this massive special attack at the very end. If it wasn't for that, I would have died. But anyway, that's all. Great games, both of them. If you like beat 'em ups with RPG elements, this is a great game. If you like action RPGs, because the second one is an action RPG, full-fledged action RPG, you can also customize weapons. Well, not customize them, more like increase their stats, upgrade them. Like in Soul Hackers 2. Upgrade them, and then side quests. This second game just feels so big that that's a role-playing game to me. It feels like a role-playing game to me. While the first one, I see it more as a beat 'em up with RPG elements. Anyway, so thank you Idea Factory for the review code of the second game. I am enjoying it. Haven't finished it, but it's great. And the first one was pretty great too. And I do recommend these games, guys. Check them out. That's it. That's my review. That's my live review. Maybe I should do this more often, with games like this. Because when we got a big game like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Soul Hackers, I think it's better for me to shoot a review separately, rehearsed. My reviews aren't scripted, by the way. They are never scripted, but they are heavily rehearsed. And to upload it on my main channel, But reviews about games that are not that massive and that popular, Hopefully these two games will gain more popularity. because they are pretty good. The second one has everything. I mean, if you go and play the second game, Dusk Diver 2, man, I mean, it's a massive improvement. It doesn't really feel like an indie game. Sure, there are some things that you notice, like some frame rate issues here and there, or some interface issues, that kind of like, man, okay. But what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't feel like an indie game anymore. Alright, so back to your goddamn questions. How many JRPGs are in your backlog? If we're talking about the ones you're seeing in the back, let me know if the music starts acting up, I don't know, I don't have a specific number for you of how many JRPGs are in my backlog, but they are, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 at most, But if we include emulation, because you can emulate almost everything nowadays, then I have like 1,000 games in my backlog. Have you watched Isekai Oji-san? Nope. Well, there's a thumbnail in my video. I put the thumbnail in this live stream of Armed, Fantasia, and Penny Blood, so that people can know that yeah, I know. I know, I am aware. Yes, the PR person reached out to me this week for it. I'm gonna get a lot of questions about that. That's why I put them on the thumbnail of the video. Yeah. All right. So let's see if I missed some of your questions. Have you seen Demon Slayer? No, everybody tells me it's amazing, but I think it's on Netflix, right? I don't have Netflix, so I haven't. I only have Amazon Prime. Would you like to live your life in third person? That would be freaking weird. Do you have a video where you tell about such thing as book publishing? Is it hard? How to find a publisher when your book is done? I've never worked with a publisher. When I finished one of my books called The Reaper's Thorn, I did send it to a couple of publishers, but they rejected the book. Right now, I strongly suggest you go independent. It's much better. Maybe with a publisher, you are going to get more attention and more money, but they'll have full control over you and your creativity, and they'll change stuff, and I don't know. And, we live in a very politically correct time. So if your book has anything politically incorrect, it's probably going to be censored by the publishers, unless you reach out to independent publishers. But I don't know much about that. All of my books have been published by me, by yours truly, independently. So I don't have any advice, when it comes to that. And obviously, because I don't have a publisher, it's been really hard, I have to mention my books, which are in the description below, guys, of this stream. Click on them. All of my books are in Amazon, the ones that are in English, of course. And it's so hard to get people to buy your books, to promote them, to advertise them, And I used to go to anime shows, gaming conventions here in Mexico, and they were great. Sometimes I sold a lot of books. One time, I sold almost 100 copies, and that was amazing. It was only 2 days, weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and I sold almost 100, and I was so happy. But that's my max. I've never sold more than 100. But nowadays, conventions kind of died off because of the pandemic. They're slowly starting to come back, but they're starting to charge outrageous prices for a freaking table, to be there and sell your books to your public, to your audience, So right now, being an independent artist like that, it's a pain in the ass. That's why everybody's doing YouTube or TikTok or Twitch. Because, yeah, making music, printing CDs and selling them, or printing a book and selling it, I don't know. I think it's starting to die, unfortunately. But yeah, I do have a couple of videos about my books. If you just type on Google, or here on YouTube, Eric Landon Books, you'll probably see a few videos that I've done where I talk about my books and the process. Have you tried reading your books on YouTube? No, I haven't. I don't think I'm the best one to do that because I have an accent. So, I don't think it's a good idea. Well, I was just talking about, I just made my review of Dusk Diver 2, didn't I? That's exactly what I'm currently playing. How did you come up with your pen name? What it means to you? I get that question a lot, When I was 15 years old, I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to have a band. I knew how to play the guitar and how to sing a little bit. So I got this band with one of my classmates. He was a guitar player, and then we got a drummer from another school, and we were a band, right? But we all sucked. The point is that we wanted to have a band, but all of us have Mexican names, and we wanted to make music in English. So we always dreamed about moving to the U.S. or to Canada and changing our names to English, So the guitarist picked Billy Turks, I think, and the drummer picked Charlie Thompson, something like that. And at the beginning, I picked James T. York, but I wasn't a fan of Radiohead at all. Nothing against Radiohead. I'm just not a fan of the band. But then everybody started telling me, "Oh, so you're a big fan of Radiohead, right? James York, James." No, I'm not. So I ended up changing it. So I was a huge fan of the movie The Crow. I still am. I love The Crow, the movie, amazing movie. And the protagonist's name, The Crow, his name is Eric. But I didn't remember back then, if the guy was Eric with a C or Eric with a K. So I ended up picking Eric with CK, with both. It just sounded more, I don't know, weird, and at the same time, interesting, why Eric with both C and K, Eric. And Landon was just out of nowhere, I was thinking about cities, and I was like, London, Landon. And there we go. That's how the name was born. And in all of my future music or almost any artistic project, YouTube videos, short films, music, and my very first book, was published under that pen name, Eric Landon. So it pretty much stayed. That's it, I wish the story was far more interesting, that I really carefully crafted that specific name. But no, it was just like, I like The Crow, so Eric and Landon, it was just kind of random. So random Landon. And there you go. That's how the name was born. It stuck with me, and eventually more people started calling me Eric, Of course, my family and friends don't call me that, but a lot of people who know me, call me Eric. So it just stayed. That's it. That's the story. Did you read the comic of The Crow the film is based on? No. I watched the movie and I watched an animated series, but I've never read the comic. I'm not really a comic guy. I was when I was little. When I was little, I got into comics and mangas, but eventually, I guess I became more about books because I wanted to imagine myself what the characters were doing or how the characters looked. I think that's also why I became an author. And when it comes to seeing the action, and the characters portrayed and all that stuff, I preferred, visual stuff like audiovisual stuff like movies, series, anime, So yeah. Where do you rank Soul Hackers 2 in the SMT universe? Well, I did a ranking video, remember that? I ranked all the Shin Megami Tensei and Persona games, the ones that came out of Japan. Because there's a lot of games from that franchise that never made it outside Japan. Shit ton of them. Look, it's definitely, in terms of gameplay and combat, it's definitely better than the original game, than Soul Hackers 1. In Soul Hackers 1, you know me, I love that game, but it's one of the very few dungeon crawlers in first person that I've ever loved and enjoyed in my life. But it was a pain in the ass to go through them. Random encounters and shit, man, it's just annoying. So this game has no navigation in first person, no random encounters. You can slash the enemies away, and that's awesome, if you don't want to fight them. So, and the combat is regular turn-based, and I like it. It's a little bit more like Persona. The combat is more on the Persona side of things. Take Persona 4 and 5, for example. It feels way more like that. Because in the first game, in Soul Hackers 1, you just select everyone's turns, and then, start battle, and that's it. If you strike an enemy's weakness or not, it's random. It's unpredictable. So I like the combat and the gameplay way more in this game. The story, I think it's more interesting in the first one. Characters are pretty much the same. There's some amazing characters in the first one. There's some amazing characters in this one. I love Nemesa just because of Nemesa. In terms of characters, I prefer the first game. So overall, it's a solid tie between those two games. But a game needs to be judged by its gameplay. So Soul Hackers 2 has better gameplay. So I like it more. So I will put Soul Hackers 2 up there with Nocturne. Even though Nocturne is far superior in a lot of things, like it has way better story and way better music. Great music in Soul Hackers 2, but it's just the Nocturne soundtrack is killer, man. It's amazing. And the combat is press turn. It's Shin Megami Tensei press turn system, so I like it more. So, but I will put it up there with Nocturne and Soul Hackers 1. If you're asking me, is it one of the absolute best, like top 5 best Shin Megami Tensei games, Soul Hackers 2? No. Probably number 7 or 6, maybe. Top 10, definitely. Definitely. But top 5? No. I'm staying with Devil Survivor 1 and 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and I guess Nocturne, could be top 5 as well. It's just Soul Hackers 2 is not top 5. Do you read any Stephen King? I read 2 novels, 2 books. One of them was pretty obscure book. I don't remember. It's about a bunch of characters who are in an abandoned town, and there's a mine, and there seems to be some kind of really powerful evil at the bottom of that mine. I don't remember the name of that book, but I finished reading the book, and I enjoyed it. But it's I'm not really a fan of Stephen King. Great writer, awesome author. He has my respect. When it comes to storytelling and characters, he pretty much writes the same story over and over again. I'm more of a fan of his non-horror stuff. I love horror stuff, but I don't like that type of horror, which is dumb and predictable. I have The Green Mile. I love the movie with Tom Hanks, and I have the book, and I love the book. Probably my favorite Stephen King book. Thoughts on Strange Journey? Well, Strange Journey is a massive dungeon crawler in first person. Sounds like Desperation. I think it's that book, yeah, Desperation by Stephen King. It might be that. So Strange Journey is a great concept for a story, but it's just the gameplay that kills me, man. I never finished the game. At the beginning, I was pretty excited. I played the 3DS version. I played the DS version a long time ago and didn't like it. And then I played the 3DS remaster, and I got far into it, but the reason why I dropped it is because I just couldn't take it anymore. The dungeons were extremely long and random encounters in the middle of them, and lots of portals, lots of dead ends. It was so annoying, man. So I dropped it. So I may not have. I think it's a great game and it's kind of underrated, Strange Journey, but it's one of my least favorite Shin Megami Tensei games. And I'm talking about the gameplay. Keep that in mind. I'm not criticizing the story, characters. No, all that is great. It's just the exploration of that game that I just couldn't take it. I preferred Soul Hackers. JRPGs with the best hunks? I don't know, man. Hey, Eric, is Xenoblade 3 your game of the year so far? It is. Actually, it is. So far, yeah. Other candidates in there are Triangle Strategy, but I've never finished it. I'm probably going to buy it this year if it goes down in price. Hopefully it will go down in price, because god damn it. Freaking Nintendo exclusives, man. Soul Hackers 2 probably is going to be there, but it's not number 1, it can't be. We need to wait for Star Ocean The Divine Force. But yeah, so far, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is by far my RPG of the year. Thank you, Nemo Propaganda. Nice to see you there, buddy. Check out this guy's channel if you are interested in audio equipment, subwoofers and shit. Great channel. Do you think you'll get into PC gaming? Maybe someday. You know, the reason why I don't get into PC gaming is because I've always been a console guy. I love consoles. I love sitting on my couch and playing with a controller on my TV. I know you can plug your laptop on your TV. I know that, but I guess I grew up with that. I was never a PC gaming, never in my whole life. But I'll eventually get to it at some point. Maybe I'll have to, to cover some PC exclusive RPGs and shit. And you brought up the PS5 situation, and everybody's been telling me to buy a PC instead of a PS5, and I agree with them. So if the PlayStation 5 price doesn't go down, doesn't drop in the next few years, I'll probably end up buying a PC just to play PS5 games or PS5 exclusives, right? But anyway, thoughts on Battle Chasers Night War. It sounds familiar. I know the game, but I haven't played it. Do you consider Folklore a hidden gem still? Yes, because for a time everybody was paying attention to it. Yes and no. Yes, because for a time everybody was paying attention to it because its price increased. It was up there. People started making videos about the rarest PS3 games. It was up there with Puppeteer, with 3D dot game heroes. And those games. But then the interest died out, and now nobody talks about it anymore. So it's still kind of an obscure game, right? But I will say no, because it features on almost every single PS3 hidden gems video, doesn't it? It's always there. Like it's one of those favorite hidden gems. So it's kind of in the middle. I see Folklore more as an underrated game than a hidden gem nowadays. But if somebody calls it a hidden gem, I kind of agree. It's not really popular or mainstream. Thank you, J.A. Would you rather play Live Alive with the characters from Xenoblade 3 or play Xenoblade 3 with the characters from Live Alive? What a weird question, man. I will play Xenoblade because I just really enjoy the gameplay mechanics. And like I said in the review, they fixed everything that I didn't like in the first two games. I still ended up loving the first two games, I think Xenoblade 2, I think I was too harsh on Xenoblade 2, but I finished the game, I really liked it, despite everything I said. I really liked the game. The first one, the Definitive Edition, was amazing, but they have some things that really annoyed me, and they were completely gone in Xenoblade. So in terms of gameplay mechanics, I prefer Xenoblade 3 over Live Alive. Live Alive, my problem is that it's a bit of a slow game, not because of its combat, but because it's kind of like extremely traditional, and I think some of the stories are kind of boring. But I don't know. I think they're both great games, but I'm more of a Xenoblade guy at this point. Eric London, did you get Yakuza Like a Dragon? I'm still waiting. I have a huge backlog right now. I'm still on the lookout for it. In fact, I'm gonna look it up right now. Like I said, I promised that I wouldn't buy the game unless it's freaking 20. Yakuza Like a Dragon PS4. Every Q&A, I get that question about that game. No, man, it's still like $30 plus shipping, so I'm gonna wait. I'm not really that interested in that game, I'm not really a fan of Yakuza, and this. I don't know, the game just doesn't appeal to me. So that's why I don't want to pay more than 20 for it. Did you play the DioField Chronicle demo on the Switch? No, I didn't. I missed it. Because when it was announced, I was like, man, I gotta download it and stream the game, a live Let's Play. But I was so busy with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and then I had to jump straight into Soul Hackers 2. And then I had to jump to these games, Dusk Diver 1 and 2. Now I'm kind of free. Maybe I'll get into it. What's your number one Nintendo DS JRPG game? That will be Radiant Historia. I wish I could pick Devil Survivor, but I think the DS version has a lot of problems, and the 3DS port is much better. So when it comes to regular Nintendo DS, absolutely Radiant Historia. Do you collect physical Japanese games? Not at the moment. I was gonna start, but because everybody else started, the Japanese games went up in price as well, so I kind of gave up and lost interest. So no, I would like to own some games in Japanese. For example, I'd like to have Valkyrie Profile, the Japanese version, because it was cheap back then. It was dirt cheap. I'm not sure how much it goes for nowadays, the Japanese version. But maybe a Chrono Trigger copy in Japanese, Super Nintendo. I don't have that one. Suikoden 2. I mean, I have Suikoden 2 and Valkyrie, the North American versions. But those are games that are so rare and expensive that I'd love to have the Japanese versions. Chrono Cross, absolutely. Collecting sucks these days. Yeah, I mean, I gave up, man. I gave up. To be honest, it's been 8 months so far this year, 2022, and I've only bought 2 games. Maybe 3. That's it. I gave up. I gave up video game collecting for now. Thank you, Yum Razon. I know you are dodging this question a lot. I'm dodging it because you ask it every single Q&A, man. I already told you that. Oh, wait a second. I thought you were going to ask about the tier list video. You're always asking about that. I told you next year. But the top 10 3DS JRPGs of all time, I know you're asking that because 3.5 years ago I made the one for ports and remix, and no ports and no remix. So you'd like to see one together, right? It's probably not going to happen because it doesn't make sense to me to do it right now, because right now one of those original videos that I did, the top 10 best Nintendo 3DS JRPGs, no ports and no remix, I think it has over 100,000 views already, and it's been getting a lot of views in the past several months. So doing that video will make no sense, That first video needs to die out first. Hopefully it will never die, but if it dies out first, maybe I'll do it. The tier list, the 3DS JRPG tier list is far more plausible than that top 10. What I'm planning on doing maybe this year is top 50 best PSP JRPGs. Thank you, DJ No Good. Which games have you bought this year? So I bought Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne HD Remaster on the PS4 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because of the review. I don't get Nintendo codes for review, never. They're such social justice warriors that, no. I don't know. I've never even bothered asking Nintendo for review codes. So I paid full price for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That's it. That's it, man. That only 2 games. Those are the only 2 games I bought in the entire year. Pathetic, isn't it? Well, I mean, I'm talking about physical games. I've purchased a bunch of games digitally this year. Well, they were all like $5, $3. I bought a bunch of indie games, small short games, this year, and that's it, right? But yeah, physical games, those are the only 2 games that I bought so far. So yeah, you can tell that I gave up on collecting. No, I didn't buy Live Alive. CB Ross, my man, thanks a bunch. That's awesome, man. Thanks, man. Will you play 9 Years of Shadows? Never heard of it. What is your opinion on hidden gems that get popular but get expensive and hard to find? Oh, that's a Metal Jesus Rocks question. Yeah, because, I remember the dramas. Everybody was blaming him, Man, come on. We aren't the ones. We YouTubers are not the ones selling the games or telling you to pay outrageous prices. In fact, me personally, I'm always encouraging people to emulate, and I'm always encouraging people to try to find the best price they can get. If a game like Folklore, which you mentioned a while ago, if a game like that is $100, I mean, no game is worth $100. Not even Suikoden 2. Well, Suikoden 2 is worth that. It's like $500 nowadays. But you get my point, right? I mean, are we YouTubers telling you to pay that money? We're only recommending the game, and if you can't find it for a decent price, just keep it. There's a shit ton of recommendations out there, a shit ton of JRPGs you can play. I mean, I'm not just recommending Folklore over and over, I'm recommending a hell of a lot of JRPGs out there. And if you buy Folklore, it's gonna be in your backlog. So why the hell would you spend $100 for a game that's going to go straight into your backlog? I mean, come on, guys. Don't blame us. Don't blame us, YouTubers. I'm not saying you did, kids. You're not blaming us, but a lot of people do. That we recommend hidden gems, and all of a sudden, Well, you remember my Eternal Poison controversy, right? How before I started recommending the game, nobody gave a shit about it, and it was a freaking $20 game, and now it's over $100. I don't think that's my fault. It's just resellers, taking advantage of people like me and you. Have you played every single Dragon Quest game? No. I'm assuming you you deleted the question. I was just answering it. Okay, if you want me to answer it, then which console is your current favorite? The PlayStation 2 has always been my favorite console, but I'm starting to, the PS4, I really like the PS4, I really like the PS TV. The PS TV is the PS Vita you plug into your TV. And for now, I'm just gonna answer the PS2 out of nostalgia because it was my favorite for a long ass time. But the PS4, man, I really, really love the PS4. The Caligula effect overdose is over 100. I think it's over 100 because he got a limited print run. He was bound to get expensive no matter, how much I insulted the game. I hated that game. I didn't try Overdose. That's the remaster. I tried the original version on the PS Vita, which was digital only, didn't get a physical release, and then that version came out. I've never covered that version before. Eric, you are going to hate me, but I didn't really like Eternal Poison. That's okay, man. You don't have to like every game I recommend. You paid over $1,000 for his PS5. Man, you're crazy. To each their own. If that's what you want to spend your money on. SMT franchise or Legend of Heroes franchise preference? You know what? I'm gonna pick Shin Megami Tensei. I love the Legend of Heroes, but I think I'm way more of a Shin Megami Tensei guy. Shin Megami Tensei is one of my 5 favorite JRPG series. I think it was Tales number 5 before. I made a video which is there on my channel. And I think I put Shin Megami top 10 favorite JRPG series of all time, and I think Shin Megami Tensei 5, Shin Megami Tensei the series itself was at number 6, and Tales was 5. Now that's changed. Shin Megami Tensei is probably my number 5. The others are Fire Emblem, Grow Lancer, Ys, and Suikoden. But you don't need to apologize. If you guys want to spend hundreds of dollars, on rare games, that's up to you. You are, inflating prices by paying that much for them, But if you that's what you want to use your money for, just don't. All I'm saying is that don't blame us. Don't say, "Oh, Eric Landon made me pay $300 for Phoenix Festa." Come on, man. You pay that money because you're a grown-up person, right? You're an adult. You made a decision. That's it. I never told you to pay that kind of money. Thank you, DJ No Good, once again. Most expensive game you ever bought. Okay, so you're gonna have to clarify that question. Most expensive game you ever bought, as in right now is extremely expensive, or the biggest amount of money I've paid for a game? What exactly are you trying to ask? Because one of the most expensive games that I ever bought is Hunting Ground on the PS2, but I paid like $6 for it, and now it's like $400. Folklore is 43. Oh yeah, that's another advice I've always given people. If you don't mind getting PAL versions, I don't. For example, I have a bunch of PAL games and I don't mind. As long as they are physical and my consoles can read them and I can play them in English, I'm good. I don't give a shit about North America and TSC or PAL. So that's a good thing, a lot of PAL games are way cheaper than the North American releases. Folklore is a good example, maybe, I don't know, 43 pounds sounds like a lot. Because 43 pounds is what, like $50? 50 US dollars? Maybe a little bit more. That's a lot of money for a PS3 game, but at least it went down. Last year it went up until, it went up there for $100, something like that, But yeah. At the time of the purchase. Oh, the most expensive game that I bought. Well, I'm not sure, Probably Xenoblade Chronicles 3 or Shin Megami Tensei 5. I paid full price for those. Shin Megami Tensei 5, I remember I paid $70. $70, man, 70. And I've never paid that amount of money for any video game in my life before. Are you gonna get Trails of Azure this September? September? Trails of Azure? What the hell? You're probably, aren't you confused with Trails from Zero coming up in October? Trails of Azure is coming up next year, right? That's the sequel. Have you played Heroine Anthem Zero? Sounds familiar, but no, I haven't played it. Okay, so if you meant Trails from Zero, yes, I'm getting it. NIS America treats me well. Could you make a top of your favorite JRPG music? Oh yes, 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I made my top 10 favorite JRPG soundtracks. I am planning on remaking that video because things have changed. I now have a different list. My number one is going to be Chrono Cross. Nothing's gonna change that, but the rest of the list might change drastically. So I'll remake that video pretty soon. And when it comes to battle themes and world map themes, they're already done, man. Right now, you can go on YouTube, type Eric Landon best JRPG battle themes, or world map themes, or town themes, and you'll see them. I made top 50s out of them. How pumped are you for Penny Blood? I'm very pumped, but not that much because I'm gonna have to wait 2.5 years. The developers, the person in charge from the public relations department who reached out to me told me that it's gonna take around 2.5 years for those games to come out. So yes, I'm excited, but yes, I'm pumped for a game that's going to be released in 2.5 years. I don't know if I'll be alive. Anyway, Trails from Zero says September 27th. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'll definitely get a review code for that. Probably. Hopefully. Oh, it was very entitled. Thank you for asking about that. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. He says, what's your response to people who thought your take about Atlus content creator code situation was entitled? It was very entitled. And I mentioned that in the video, but people love to insult others, just because. People who thought... I didn't read the comments on that video, of course, but I did notice people were making videos about me. And I don't feel good about what happened, But this is something that I complained about like a little kid when it happened last year. Because everybody and their mom got their code except me, because I sent a bunch of emails and got completely ignored. So, okay, somebody said, fuck this guy, fuck me, it was pretty obvious, So, I made that drama last year, and then all of a sudden I get a review code for Soul Hackers 2. And when that happened, I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do, I had been complaining about that drama since last year in several Q&As, in several live streams, in several Let's Plays. I insulted the guy from PR on my Shin Megami Tensei 5 review. So all of a sudden, what? I'm just gonna stay quiet and upload a Soul Hackers 2 review? I prefer people calling me entitled than calling me a hypocrite. I needed to tell you guys, I needed to make a video about it. I needed to say, hey, Atlus apologized to me, and this happened, and whatever, And when I made that video, when I said that, I was like, man, this is wrong. This feels, I feel like shit, People are gonna call me entitled. People are gonna call me arrogant, People are gonna say that I'm just looking for attention, and I'm not proud of what I did. I hate doing, I've made similar dramas in the past. My whole career, I've insulted several things. I made one for the Game Awards. I've made rants on, on fan bases, on sensitive fan bases, on the controversies on censorships, So I've always been like this. It's most of the people who thought I was entitled probably have never watched those videos, I've made these drama videos, since the beginning of my YouTube career. I've always been like this, I'm a ranter. I like ranting, I like criticizing, companies, I like fighting the system, and the hypocrisy that comes with it. But that Atlus situation, that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you think that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me, or to any other YouTuber out there, it's just YouTubers don't talk about that. And I was like, man, other YouTubers don't talk about these things. They keep these things private. And I respect that. And I've always kept those things private up until that point. That's when I couldn't take it anymore. That's when I said, fuck this. This is bullshit. This is extremely hypocritical. And I don't want to expose this hypocrisy. But I'm going to do it anyway because I felt people needed to know. And I said to myself, man, a lot of people are going to be pissed off. A lot of people are going to, call me things. They're going to say, that I'm the hypocrite maybe. Or they're going to call me an entitled guy. Or they're going to call me, an arrogant. Or I don't know. What else are they calling me? And they have every right to do so because that's exactly how I felt. That's how I felt, People have insulted me in the past for several things that I don't agree with. And I'm like, so fuck them, That's just your opinion about me. Whatever. But in this particular Atlus situation, I kind of agree with them. I feel like shit about what I did. I don't like it. I don't like making these dramas, the exposing people. I feel like a fucking social justice warrior, and I hate those kinds of people. But I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, man, there's a lot of bullshit going on YouTube, and how these companies treat us. It's like, it's ridiculous. And I just couldn't take it anymore. And I exploded and I started making those rants in November last year when Shin Megami Tensei 5 came out. So I made all of those comments, all of those remarks, and I get a Soul Hackers 2 code a few weeks ago. So that's why I reached out to the Atlus PR and said, hey, why are you giving me a code? Haven't you noticed, that I've been insulting you guys since the Shin Megami Tensei 5 last year? So I was like, so what am I going to tell people now? All of a sudden, we made peace. Atlus and me made peace. And now I got a review code for Soul Hackers 2. So here's my review, guys. Yeah, and pretend like nothing happened. That's it. Like I said, it's a shitty video. I kind of want to delete it. I won't, because that's the only way for people to know how fucked up the relationship between YouTubers or reviewers, and I'm pretty sure magazines as well, go with these companies, with these publishing companies. And who gets fucked the most? The developers. That's why I didn't care when I didn't get a review code for Shin Megami Tensei 5. I was like, fuck it, you know what? Go fuck yourselves. I'm gonna buy the damn game because I want to support the people who made the game, not the people who is in charge of advertising the game or giving codes to YouTubers. I want to support the person who created this amazing game that I really enjoyed. Right? So the developers are the ones who get fucked. Just put this into perspective. Imagine if I'm an author. I just said a while ago that I don't have a publisher, right? Imagine if I write a book. I send it to a publishing house and they publish it. And then, I ask the publisher, so what are you going to do to advertise my book? Oh, so I'm going to give your book, I'm going to send your book, a digital copy of your book, to all of these YouTubers. Except these other YouTubers. I'm going to give this to these. There's 10 YouTubers out there, and I'm going to send your book to these 7, not these 3. So, what would you do? You will ask why. Why not these 3 YouTubers, right? Maybe Atlus from Japan, they didn't even get to ask. They were just like, okay, so yeah, send a review code to the YouTubers you deem worthy of receiving it. And that's exactly what happened. So the people who get fucked are the developers themselves. They are the real victims of these fucking dramas we go through. And I don't like this, guys. I don't like this. I'm not proud of what I did. I admit that I acted like a little kid, like a fucking immature, entitled son of a bitch. I did. That's exactly true. If people are saying that about me, they're fucking right. But this was the only way that I thought of exposing this extremely enormous hypocrisy that goes on in the PR business. And this bullshit has been going on forever. Forever, man. It's not something recent. It's forever. But that's it, Other people didn't get the code. So I was self-centered, I guess you could say that I was self-centered, with this situation. Because other YouTubers did not get the code, even though they reached out to Atlus again. And I've started to realize that what somebody said to me a long time ago, that the Atlus PR makes no sense. That sometimes they send you codes and sometimes they don't. It's like, oh, I got this review code for this Atlus game. Awesome. Oh, so the next time I'm going to ask them for this upcoming game. So a year passes and they ask, oh, so can I get a review code for this brand new Atlus game? And they get ignored. You just gave me a review code for this other game. Why not this one? You don't like me anymore? What? Or you didn't like my review of your first game? Or what's going on? And Atlus, it's such a weird company for that. I've never seen more complaints in my YouTube career than what Atlus gets. I've seen complaints about Bandai Namco, Square Enix, Idea Factory, this, any company you can think of. And the weirdest by far of them all is Atlus. It makes no sense. It establishes these relationships with YouTubers and they give them codes and all of a sudden, no. This particular game, no. Why? What? Okay. So I'm like, okay, I'm not receiving codes from Atlus anymore. And 6 months later, a new game comes out and you get the code. What? So, you know what I'm getting, right? You know what I'm trying to get at, right? I'm trying to get at the point that maybe I took it way too personal. Maybe. And I said this in the video that I was just speculating that maybe I just took it too personal and maybe they're just weird like that, Maybe, okay, Shin Megami Tensei 5 code, are we gonna give this code to Eric Landon? Nah. What about Soul Hackers? Sure, give it to him. In the future, imagine Persona 6 code when it comes out. Sure, let's send a code to him. Or Shin Megami Tensei 6? Nah. What goes on in their heads to make those decisions? If you're establishing already a relationship, a business relationship like this with a YouTuber, why do you do this? Why some things are okay? Why some games are okay? Some codes are okay and some are not? I just don't get it. So, yeah. They're fucking weird. The end. But anyway, this went on too long. Anyway, guys, I got so worked up on this because this is a topic that was really unnerving for me. It was just, like, wow, I can't believe I'm sinking this low, to expose what a company did to me. So fuck it, yeah, let them talk, guys. Let them talk, people. If you guys want to call me entitled, arrogant, self-centered, immature, for this particular topic, for this Atlus situation, I admit it, and I feel like shit, but I have no regrets. Alright, back to your questions. Maybe no code for the Nintendo exclusives. Oh, Nintendo, I don't know. I have no idea how Nintendo works. I remember I went to their website. They have a PR section in there. Well, let me go right now. Nintendo PR. PR, contact Nintendo, public relations. So you guys can do it right now if you want to. Just type Nintendo PR and it sends you right here. Public relations contact. And this form is for US-based media, analyst, and content creator inquires only. If that's you, please submit your inquiry below and someone will be in touch with you in 24 hours. I've never filled this form. Name, job type. I guess I put creator, influencer. Job title, okay. Name of organization, email address, phone number, deadline, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so you do this and I guess you ask for a review code, maybe. I don't know. Because Square Enix has a similar website like this, and I filled up a form for Triangle Strategy when it came out. And I never got a reply. But it's Square Enix, right? If you think I have insulted Atlus, fuck. Square Enix is the only company out there who has every right and no hard feelings, every right to ignore me, to never give me codes, and to hate me. Because I've said some really horrible things about Square Enix in my career, so yeah. I don't regret saying them, because don't get me started on Square Enix. But yeah, I mean, it's the only company that is entitled to say fuck Eric Lander. Nintendo, I don't know, I've never tried it. Someone told me that I shouldn't have reached out to Square Enix for Triangle Strategy, that I should have reached out to Nintendo. So maybe I should have reached out for a code for Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably end up doing that for the next Nintendo exclusive JRPG. We're not going to get any more this year, aren't we? I mean, DioField Chronicle, maybe? Is that going to be on Switch? Soul Hackers 2 did not get released on Switch or Xbox. It's a PlayStation exclusive. Only PS4 and 5 so far, not even PC or Steam, right? I already did a ranking of the Valkyria Chronicles games. Long time ago. Business is rough nowadays, it's all about profits. Yeah, maybe. Like I said, it's just speculation. Like I said, Atlus is weird. I probably took things way too personal. Soul Hackers is on Xbox too. Seriously? Man, I just recorded a script for an upcoming video next Tuesday and I mentioned it wasn't exclusive. Soul Hackers is also on PC. Okay, so I'm gonna have to delete that sentence from my script. Thank you, guys. I just didn't look it up because I saw the trailer and it just said PS4 and 5. Okay, so it's everywhere except the Switch. Will you be reviewing Nier Automata on the Switch? No, I don't think so. Did you finish that Tales of Berseria playthrough? Oh, the live? No, I abandoned it because, like I said before, I got so caught up with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and then Soul Hackers 2 and then the Dusk Diver games 1 and 2. So maybe I'll go back to it soon. I'm also moving out to a different place. I'm moving out of here soon. And I don't want to stream. I don't want to let's play anymore until I get there, Thoughts on the Dot Hack JRPG series? Ooh, massive fan here, man. I love Dot Hack. Dot Hack GU, I'm a huge fan of. Nintendo Prini presents NIS Classics Volume 3. La Pucelle Ragnarok. Oh, it's coming out this year? I thought it was going to come out until next year. Because a few months ago, they released Makai Kingdom and Zettai Hero Project. And now they're releasing Ragnarok. I mean, La Pucelle. And you know what? La Pucelle Ragnarok. That's the PSP version we never got. We only got the vanilla PS2 version. Then the game got some kind of enhanced port on the PSP called Ragnarok, I think. And that's the version we never got. So it's cool we're getting that one. And Rhapsody, a Musical Adventure. That's cool. So I'll probably get a review code for that. Konami insulted everyone. Well, what about Konami? I missed it. Well, yeah, I've insulted Konami a lot too. Keys was asking, which have you insulted more, Square Enix or Konami? Probably Konami, because Konami, every single person on this planet can agree, is the shittiest video game company ever, alongside ENA Games. But I don't know much about ENA because I don't play their games. Konami has a lot of JRPGs, namely my favorite of all, Suikoden. So I've probably said far worse things about Konami than Square Enix. What's the difference between strategy RPG and turn-based RPG? At turn-based, you don't move on grids. There's little strategy involved. Most of your characters cannot move. They're just sitting there, or they can move just a little in limited areas. Strategy RPGs, you have large areas to move around to, terrain affected areas most of the time, and you get these what's the word? Well, in some of them, like I mentioned, you get this grid base. You can move on grid, so your character's movement is very limited or largely limited. You have these range to move around, and it just requires way more strategy to come up with your actions, because these actions depend most of the time on several characters that are fighting in the field than in just 3 or 4, which we usually see on regular turn-based RPGs. That's a major difference. That's an interesting topic, the difference between strategy RPGs and turn-based RPGs. That's pretty simple, but it goes deeper. There are some hybrid JRPGs that are they can be considered as both. And because they add a little bit of strategy. I can think of the Trails series, for example, where characters can move around and position themselves to avoid attacks or to execute better attacks, for example. And there's also more strategic moves, like in the Xenoblade Chronicles, for example. You have to move around to the side to execute this side attack, or to the back for this other attack, this back attack, or you need to break the enemy first and then topple and then daze to get massive damage and to execute a proper combo. So there's always strategy involved in all types of video games, even in regular action RPGs. But when it comes to the main difference between strategy and turn-based is what I just explained, that strategy is more about planning carefully what you're going to do for a long period of time. In turn-based RPGs, the majority of the battles that are long are the boss battles. Regular enemies, you are done within a few minutes. And in a strategy RPG, you don't get random encounters per se. You have a whole map to clear, and your enemies can move around the whole area. Like I mentioned, usually a terrain-affected area, to complete a map, a battle that it definitely takes at the very least 10 to 15 minutes maybe, So it's more about the strategy and how you use all of your characters, because in most strategy RPGs you get a bunch of characters, not just 4 or 5. There are strategy RPGs in which you can only choose 1 or 2 or 3 characters. Monarch is one of them. There's only 4 characters in there, max. And then this Arc the Lad, the first Arc the Lad, you only control 4 characters, I think. But the majority of strategy RPGs, you have a large cast of characters at your command, and you need to know how to move them around and do this and that with these characters, and so on. You're basically playing in strategy RPGs an overworld with random encounters. And the difference is that you can see the enemies, and you have a limited amount of a limited movement range, to approach that enemy and get into a battle that usually ends up quickly in a few seconds. So that's the huge difference. There's just a lot of strategy involved, and that's why they're called strategy RPGs. Yeah, but I guess you're also asking because most strategy RPGs are turn-based. Every character has their own turn. So that's why a lot of people call them turn-based strategy, because there's a lot of games that are strategy games, but they're not turn-based. You know how they call those? They call them real-time strategy. When your characters do not have to wait for a turn to execute their actions, to move around or to fight. A perfect example of that is Growlancer. The Growlancer series are real-time strategy RPGs. But usually the majority of strategy RPGs are turn-based strategy RPGs. That's the difference. It's not that confusing. It's a little bit, but not really, It's just not really. Just pay attention, Focus on the terrain on the maps, Turn-based RPGs don't have maps to complete. They're just a really shrunk down small area where you fight. And in the majority of regular turn-based RPGs, you just stay still. Your characters do not move. You just select their turns and they go. You know that your party members are here, the enemy is here. You select them, the direction in their menu. They go punch the enemy, and that's it. Right? They don't move. And in strategy RPGs, you gotta direct your characters, to select this destination, and they move. Right? They fight in maps. That's the difference between a strategy RPG and a turn-based RPG. The layout, the place they fight in. And like I said, don't throw the Trails games at me. They're the areas where they fight. Even though the characters can move around, they're still very small, compressed, around the enemy or around the boss. And in strategy RPGs, you have these huge areas, right? That's the difference. It's the most basic difference between those two subgenres. What is your personal ranking of all the Xenoblade games you have played? I'm only missing Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I really want to play it so I can make that video. Xenoblade or Xeno games ranked from worst to best. But right now I can't answer because I just don't have a favorite. I've always struggled between Xenogears and Xenosaga 3. But now that I've played and absolutely loved Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it's getting there, man. It's kind of hard to answer. Stella Deus or Eternal Poison? Eternal Poison. I think Stella Deus lacks in some areas that Eternal Poison makes up for. Poison, for example, has a much better story, a larger cast of characters. It's darker. It has way better music. The gameplay mechanics are more sophisticated. Stella Deus feels a little bit. It's not an indie game. It's by Atlus, but it feels a little bit, kind of. Kind of simplified in some things. Stella Deus is way harder than Eternal Poison, So if you're asking about the difficulty, there you go. Which JRPG is for non-RPG gamers who are not into RPGs? What? Didn't I make a video about that? It's called How to Get Back into RPGs. I think the best you can do is play games with RPG elements and see if you like them. And if you like them, then get into an RPG. Here's a recommendation, Dusk Diver. This is a beat 'em up with RPG elements. You can beat this game in like 10 hours or less. And that's it, It's a great game for non-RPG gamers. But if we're talking strictly about JRPGs, maybe play any of the Vanillaware games. Do you have a favorite obscure game that you play every now and then? Yeah, Growlancer Heritage of War. Growlancer 5 on the PlayStation 2. I've beaten that game 5 times probably already. 4 or 5 times. And that's obscure. And that's a JRPG that I play every now and then. Or if you mean not just JRPGs, like obscure games in general, all genres. Wow. Have to think about that. Is Hunting Ground obscure? I guess not because of its price. Its price made it famous. That'll be an interesting video, huh? Games. We did this in Discussion Gamer a long time ago. Games that became popular because of their price or their rarity. I don't know. Most of the games that are not RPGs and that I play every now and then are not really obscure. I'll have to think about that. What about Ni no Kuni? Xenoblade 3 is a strategy, action, real time. I wouldn't call it strategy. There's some strategy in there, but I wouldn't call it strategy. It's just a real time action game. But there's some strategy in there. What game you wanted to get but cannot do to some reasons? Ooh! Vanguard Bandits, because it's too fucking expensive. Panzer Dragoon Saga. Every Sega Saturn RPG, every TurboGrafx RPG, a lot of PlayStation Vita RPGs. Most of the games that I want to get and I can't are games that are overly expensive. Have you seen the Disgaea 7 announcement? So soon? They just release this Gaia 6 last year? And they're already working on another one and they just announced it? Wow. No, I haven't. I didn't even know. Panzer Dragoon is very rare. It's like what? $1,000? Holy. We just released a video a couple of days ago on Discussion Gamer. Me and my friend. It's called the mini consoles we want. And our top pick was Sega Saturn. I don't have any consoles. I don't have any mini consoles. I don't care that much for them. Because most of the games released on them, I can just emulate them for free. But it's such a pain in the ass to emulate Sega Saturn games. So that's why, if Sega ever releases a Sega Saturn Mini with RPGs like Panzer Dragoon Saga, Albert Odyssey, Mystaria, Dragon Force, wow, shut up and take my money, man. I'm in. Oh yeah, Langrisser, the remasters got some criticism because they do look like a mobile game. Because you know what they did before those remasters? A mobile game, and they used the same graphic engine for the remasters. Langrisser 1 and 2 remasters are pretty much mobile games enhanced for consoles. They're still great though, but yeah. Mystaria looks pretty bad. It looks severely outdated, doesn't it? It looks horrible, I know, but I still want to play it. I mean, if we ever get a mini Sega Saturn, Mystaria is not gonna be there, which is also known as Blazing Heroes. That's the real name. They just changed the name here in North America. Well, the original Japanese name is Blazing Heroes. Nothing to do with Guardian Heroes. Nothing at all. But it looks terrible, to be honest. It didn't age well at all, Mystaria. But I still would like to play it. They can make good mobile games if they try. Yeah, I guess so. Thoughts on Blue Reflection Second Light. That's a game that I really surprisingly enjoyed. I thought it was gonna be like, man, it's a game, it's dumb, and I loved it. I haven't played the first one, though, and you kind of do need to play the first one to understand the second one, so I got spoiled a lot in certain things. Yeah, if you care a lot about the story, you need to play Blue Reflection 1, the first one, and then Second Light, because there's some strong spoilers of the first game and its ending on the second game. So I got spoiled, but I still ended up loving, Blue Reflection Second Light. What do you think about Tactics Ogre Reborn? Oh yeah, the announcement. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm not a fan of Tactics Ogre. I admire the game and respect it a lot because it's one of the most. When it comes to strategy RPGs, it's probably one of the top 5 most influential strategy RPGs of all time. But I just never got into it. I played the PlayStation version, didn't like it. The PSP remaster, couldn't get into it. So maybe this Reborn remake, maybe I'll be able to get into it. And maybe I'll enjoy it and start recommending it. Are you going to play Monochrome Mobius? Never heard of it. I'm excited for Crisis Core. Oh yeah, I guess me too. I wasn't a big fan of the original on the PSP. I know I am in the minority. But the first Blue Reflection, if only it wasn't that expensive, you're right, that's the problem. I kind of wanted to tell the guy, I got a guy who gave me the review code for the Second Light last year in Koei Tecmo. I wanted to tell him, hey, so people are going to start noticing that it's a direct sequel to the first game, and the first game is nowhere. It's expensive, and is it even on the PlayStation Store, the first game? I haven't looked it up, and I'm guessing if it is there, it's probably just as expensive. Did you play the Eiyuden Chronicle platformer RPG? No, I didn't. That's another thing. That's another Atlus thing. I heavily promoted the. I mean, you guys have been fans of this channel for years, right? And you probably noticed that I made a video on the Kickstarter for Eiyuden Chronicle 2 years ago. And I posted on social media on the community section. I was mentioning that everywhere, and I didn't get a review code for Rising. You see? You see what happens behind this, the curtains in a YouTuber's life? I told you that Atlus thing was just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of bullshit when it comes to, PR publishers. But I don't want to talk about that. Because then, everybody's going to say, oh, he always bitches about review codes and shit. Would you recommend Stella Glow for anybody who wants to play a strategy RPG? Yes, but you need to take two things into consideration. The first one is that Stella Glow is a fan service game with lolis. Okay? So if you're not into that, because it's not really a serious RPG, it's got some seriousness in there. That the plot is kind of serious. But there's a lot of dumbass stuff in there. It's a bit of a comedy as well. There's a lot of slice of life, and that's the second thing you need to notice. That you date the girls, and you hang out with your party members. So there's some small life simulation in there. So if you like that, if that appeals to you, then yes, because Stella Glow is pretty friendly. It's kind of easy for the most part. It starts getting challenging as you advance, but it takes you by the hand. Holds your hand. It's an easy strategy RPG, easy to get into. So there you go. Do you know someone in Ghost, Koei Tecmo? Yes, I do. I don't know anyone in Ghost, because Ghost is not a publisher, it's just a developer. Usually Koei Tecmo are the ones who publish Ghost games. And I have someone, I know someone. He's been giving me codes for Koei Tecmo games. He even goes through the trouble of giving me Koei codes for Warriors Orochi and Dynasty Warriors games that I'm not really going to cover. Can you ask them to reprint Blue Reflection? I could, but this is the public relations guy. He doesn't have anything to do with that. I kind of want to, tell him that. Then, that's a problem. That you don't just make a sequel, a direct sequel to a game most people can't have access to. It's just, I'm pretty sure that made them lose a lot of money. Because a lot of people are going to be like, you know what, I'm not going to play Blue Reflection Second Light because I know it's a direct sequel and I need to play the first game first. These guys are probably going to have the same problem in the near future. So they better start reprinting this game so people can play the second one, which is coming out in 2 days as of the making of this Q&A live stream. Tuesday. It's a very direct sequel to this game. Have you seen the Disgaea 7 announcement? Yeah, I just answered that question. Do you like any Musou games? I do, but I prefer them to be action RPGs, like the Persona 5 Strikers, Dragon Quest Heroes, big fan. Kind of like in the vein of Drakengard, something like that. Do you play RPGs for the sake of storyline or a good battle system? I play for both. I made videos some time ago, like a year and a half ago, called Top 10 JRPGs with great story but bad gameplay, and also great gameplay and bad story. Check them out. I deeply care about both, and sometimes just one thing doesn't function without the other. I've seen a lot of JRPGs that have phenomenal writing, great story, but the battle system sucks or the gameplay sucks. And I've also seen the other way around. Story is like garbage, but the combat, is great, or the gameplay is great. So I'm a fan of both, but I play RPGs for the sake of both. One thing is just not enough. We're talking about a video game. Have you played Ephemeral Fantasia? Yes. I have unfortunately played Ephemeral Fantasia and it's garbage. Great fan service in there, That's the only redeemable quality of that game, but the rest is trash. When are you posting the Dusk Diver 1 and 2 review? Probably Wednesday. Yeah. A day after, the games come out. The game comes out so everybody can watch the review and decide if they want to buy it or not. Or I think most people watch reviews because they just want to know if the YouTuber agrees with their opinion or not. That's why reviews get more views after the release of a game than before. I could have done the Soul Hackers 2 review. I could have uploaded that review before the game came out, but I thought it was a bad idea. I thought it's just better when you release the review the same day the game comes out or afterwards, so people can compare opinions. Oh, so I make my review and people are. I imagine that's why some of you guys do, that you sit down and watch the review and oh yeah, I agree with that. The combat was amazing. Oh, he's complaining about the graphics, I agree with that. Or no, you know what, I disagree with that. He's saying the story sucks. I think the story was great. I think people watch reviews because of that, to do just that. But they also watch them to help them decide if they want to buy the game or not. What's your opinion on Square delaying the Flintstones Tactical Gear? You're that guy? I remember you. Do you think the prices of PS1 and PS2 RPGs will continue to increase? For the majority of them, unfortunately, yeah, but they will only continue to increase as long as people continue to pay them. Blade Dragon Order of the Flame. Isn't that an action RPG Western on the PlayStation 2? I know because Joshua from Games of War covered it, and he said it was really good. You play as a girl, right? I mean, is that the game Drakan? Yeah. Or maybe I'm confusing it with something else. Top 10 games, no RPG brawler fighting in Mario. What do you mean? I don't get it. Top 10 games, but no beat 'em ups. So no games like this, and no fighting games, and no Mario. What do you mean? So we'll have to include survival horror games, racing games, maybe environmental puzzle games. The list will be full of environmental puzzle games. Did you play any dungeon crawler? Yeah, I have played several dungeon crawlers. We were just talking about Soul Hackers 1 and Strange Journey. I don't understand why. Well, I don't understand that because I'm not a fan of the genre, but there's a lot of them nowadays. I mean, they found their glory on the PS Vita, and then now the Switch and PS4. There's just a lot of dungeon crawlers in first person, and they aren't a new genre. It's a genre that's been there since the 80s. Most of the very first turn-based RPGs were dungeon crawlers in first person. Actually, the first Megami Tensei games, for example, Digital Devil Story 1 and 2, they're like that. And they just went over. Those games have been there since the beginning, of RPGs, and they're still going strong today. But it seems to me a lot of the low-budget or AA studios want to make them. Right? There's a lot of them nowadays. I'm not really a fan. Are you doing a review on Dusk Diver 2 when it comes out? I already did it today, live, like an hour and a half ago, and I'm going to upload it on my second channel on Wednesday, probably. Yeah, Might and Magic, Wizardry. I think one of the Ultima games is also dungeon crawler in first person. What are your thoughts on a Suikoden remake for PS4, PS5? It's called Eiyuden Chronicle, and it's gonna happen next year. Now, you're asking about a remake. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. I'm not even gonna dream about that. It's not happening. The best we can hope for is maybe one day a digital Suikoden collection on the PlayStation Store, and that's it, man. Ethel, Uni. Those two were my favorite girls. They got popular, huh? I didn't know they were going to be this popular. I really like Mio too. Mio, at the beginning, the main character, the protagonist of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I thought it was gonna she's the classic generic JRPG female protagonist, and she just won me over, man. I ended up loving her. But Uni was my favorite character. I mean, she's really hot, for starters, but I love her personality, She's kind of edgy, and she has a little bit of a no bullshit attitude, and I like her. Ethel was fine, but she's the badass swordswoman, with huge... Well, anyway, she's great. I loved Ethel as well. Ashera. I loved Ashera. She's a really wacky, crazy-ass character. I loved her as well. So many great characters in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I liked all of them, you know. I even end up liking, what's the name? What was the name of the other girl in the party? Forgot her name, and I even liked her. I liked her too. So there's Uni, Mio, and man, come on, guys, what's the name? The other girl with the short one with the short hair, brunette. Senna, thanks. Senna was pretty, like, it was like, man, she's just kind of there. For most of the game, I was like, she's just kind of there, you know, there's no development, she's just very generic. But near the end of the game, you know, yeah. Hey, Matthew! Nice to see you there, man. You're still with your weird ass username, Bawaku. Bawa. The hell, man. But yes, Senna grew up on me. She grew on me, man, in the end. In the end, I loved every character. My favorites were Uni, Taion. Taion was my favorite of the guys by far. Uni, Taion, and if I had to pick a third, I'm between Ethel and Mio. I guess I'm gonna go with Mio. I hated when Mio... Okay, no, this is a huge spoiler, so never mind. I hope whoever directed the voice acting in Xenoblade 3 comes back for the sequels. Me too. And that's one thing I didn't mention in the review. That the voice acting in Xenoblade 3 is far superior than the one in 2. Seriously. I should have made notice of that in the review. I should have said that in the review because I bitched about the voice acting in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in that video. And I also bitched about how they changed a lot of names. You know, Pyra being Homura, Mithra being Hikari. You know, they changed everything. All the Japanese names, they changed them. And in this third game, they respected a lot of their names. Most of them. Noah is fine, you know, I don't have a problem with a single character. There's not a single Xenoblade Chronicles 3 character that I disliked. I liked all of them. Lance, you know, he was a bit of an asshole at the beginning, but he got some really interesting development. Noah is fine. I thought it was going to be the goody two-shoes JRPG classic character, but then you get to that plot twist. No, let's not mention the plot twist, okay, please. But yeah, and he's not one of the best protagonists in JRPG history, but he's a decent JRPG protagonist. He's not that generic. Like Rex, for example. I like Rex. Rex was fine, but he's like fine. He's so fine, he's boring. Generic. And Shulk, I guess Shulk is more interesting. If we're gonna compare Shulk, Rex, and Noah, I'm staying with Noah, you know. But, you know, none of the three guys really stand out to me. If I ever do a top 10 best JRPG protagonists, or some male protagonists, because I've done videos on female protagonists, none of them are going to be there. But if I had to pick one guy, Noah. But I prefer Mio. Mio is really pretty, you know. Taion should have been the main character. One main RPG character you hate and ruined the game for you. There's a top 10 on that, my man. Top 10 worst JRPG protagonists. Most of them didn't exactly ruin the game for me. In fact, none of them did. Well, maybe except for one. Go check it out. Check out that video. It didn't get a lot of views, and it's not a popular video because, number one, I insulted a couple of characters that are actually beloved, that are the consensus considers as great characters, and I think they're horrible characters. And number two, because that's when I made that video, that's when YouTube started shifting more towards censorship and strongly against swearing. And there's a lot of swearing in that video. It's a pretty funny video, but yeah, it's called Top 10 Worst JRPG Protagonists. Thank you, Silver Mash. Of which JRPG will you change the ending? Soul Hackers 2, but I'm not gonna say anything because I don't know if it has multiple endings. Has anybody here in the chat finished Soul Hackers 2? And if so, do you know if there are multiple endings? Cause that was one of my complaints in my review 2 days ago. That I got this ending that it's like, okay, it's not bad, but it's not good either. It's just there. It's just, oh, okay. And I felt like I did something wrong. Soul Hackers 2 does have multiple endings. Thank you, I knew it. I did something wrong. So what do you need to do, without spoiling the ending, what do you need to do to get the true ending or the best ending? Like, I kind of want to know. Do you need to complete every Soul Matrix, or do you need to? There's some decisions at the very end, at the final dungeon. No spoilers, but you can Soul level 5 for all characters. I knew it. I only did one. I just didn't have enough Soul points. Everybody needs to be over 100 points, right, to complete them. So you need to complete them, huh? I knew it was that. Fuck. But anyway, I needed to finish the game to make the review. So I'll probably give it another playthrough after it. I hate true endings, man. I hate true endings too, Everybody should get the true ending no matter what. Bullshit, but whatever, Thank you, Atlus. Now I'm gonna be forced to start a new playthrough. Fortunately, New Game Plus overpowered. And, I'm just gonna rush the game just to get those other endings. Thanks, man. Uni and Melia are good, but Mio and Nia are better. Oh, man, yeah. I hate RPGs with multiple endings. I love RPGs with multiple endings, but I hate when the true ending is locked, where you need to do a lot of special stuff to get it. That's bullshit. The true ending should be the default ending, and all the other endings where you need to do something special should be optional, like in Chrono Cross. Well, actually, in Chrono Cross, never mind. Waifu Wars? You're gonna start a waifu war? What JRPG has your favorite art style? I really like the Fire Emblem games on the Game Boy Advance. I really like the art style in there. And you know what? Soul Hackers 2 had great art style. I really liked it too. No, Armed Fantasia is not a sequel. Well, it is a spiritual successor, not a sequel, but yeah. Because Mediavision doesn't want to do... The Mediavision are the developers who also make the Valkyria Chronicles games, by the way. It just seems that Sony and Mediavision are not interested in doing a true Wild Arms game anymore. So the ex-developers of the first games are now doing Armed Fantasia. So it's not going to be a sequel. It's more like a spiritual successor, It's not going to be connected to the previous games. I don't think it's going to take place in Filgaia, Why are you making trash content? Because I love trash, man. And I love pissing off people like you. Yeah, all these graphic engines. I mean, the first thing that I noticed in the Armed Fantasia trailer is that it does look a little bit more like those types of graphic engines. Like, I think it's being done in Unreal 4 or 5. Remember, the games are bound to be released in 2.5 years from now, so they're probably gonna be for PS5. I don't know, I haven't checked out the Kickstarter, but if you go into the Kickstarter and you notice, I don't know if they are saying already in the Kickstarter. Well, the Kickstarter starts in a couple of days, right? Not today. My point is, I don't think they're gonna release the games on PS4. Right? Come on, leave the troll alone. He's just... There we go. Anyway, so if the games Armed Fantasia and Penny Blood are going to be released in 2.5 years from now, it'll be 2025 already. Yeah, I mean, forget about Switch, man. Maybe they'll get a Switch release, but most likely they'll get a PS5, Steam, and Xbox Series X release. Maybe. It starts tomorrow. Okay, the Kickstarter starts tomorrow. There we go. There we go. You know, I don't think we'll see a PS4 release, but PS4 releases will still make sense in 2 years. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, if they want, they need to put out their games on as many consoles as possible. And I think releasing their games on Switch and PS4 is a great idea. Hopefully they can do that, you know. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Oh, let's keep our fingers crossed the fucking PS5 goes down in price in 2 or 3 years. So everybody can afford it now and then buy Armed Fantasia and Penny Blood on your PlayStation 5. Oh yeah, I read something about that. The Soul Hackers 2 situation that people paid for keys for the premium edition and you didn't get it and whatnot. Yeah, I heard something about that. I didn't really care about DLCs and stuff, so didn't pay much attention. But it sucks. I mean, you shouldn't advertise something that you're not gonna be able to fulfill or to comply with at the end. You know, if you promised that if you buy this special edition and you're gonna give the gamers or the players, you know, the buyers, this, and that, and it turns out at the end, no, you know, you're not getting that, and you already paid for that. No, man, you don't do that. You see, Atlus? I love Atlus. People are gonna start saying that I hate Atlus. But no. Last questions, guys. What JRPG franchise you want to revive by the original creators? Well, now that Shadow Hearts, Suikoden, and Wild Arms are revived, I want to see Valkyrie Profile 3. I don't want Valkyrie Elysium. Fuck that. I want Valkyrie Profile 3, a turn-based RPG in the same universe that we saw in the previous games. Done by Tri-Ace, the original developers. That's what I want, because this Valkyrie Elysium is not going... It's not being developed by Tri-Ace. Opinion on Star Ocean 5? You know, it gets a lot of hate. It's a mess of a game, convoluted, difficulty spice galore, weak protagonists, barely any character development. It's a weak game. It's a rushed game, but I think it's an okay game. I liked it. I finished it. It pissed me off, but I liked it. You know, it's okay. It's just the worst Star Ocean game. Have you ever played Zombies Ate My Neighbors? Only once on the Super Nintendo a long time ago. Brutally hard game. Brutally hard game, man. I never made it past the first boss. Super hard game. Breath of Fire, yeah, sure, Breath of Fire, but you asked for one series, and Valkyrie Profile is my answer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Valkyrie Elysium will be a decent action RPG. It looks like it's going to be one, but it's not what we want. It's an insult. Have you played Star Tropics for the NES? Yes, I have. I never finished it. I got somewhat far, and I liked it. It's a good game. What game do you be... I don't understand the question. I mean, what game would you like to see remaster? Oh, check out Xenoblade Chronicles music. Is it doubled? The music is probably acting up, right? I'm pretty sure it is. It's glitchy and all over the place. Best modern turn-based game. Can I pick? I'm just thinking. I'll probably end up picking Shin Megami Tensei 5. I really like that damn game. I think that's gonna be my pick. It's doubled again. Well, I'm leaving anyway, guys. That's why the music was so low for today. I can't fix that. Anyway, that's it, guys. That was my Q&A. excited for Armed Fantasia and Penny Blood. Look forward to my review of these games. Dusk Diver 1 and 2 coming up. The second one coming up in 2 days. And my review will be uploaded on my second channel in a few days, Wednesday probably. What last question, just because it has something to do with my books. What genre will Seven Shadows be if it was a game? This book, it will probably be an action RPG, because it just doesn't make sense to make a turn-based RPG with just allies fighting. It will definitely be an action RPG or some kind of visual novel. There's not a lot of action in this game, but yeah, maybe an action RPG. Or a fighting game. I don't know. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.